Your future doesn't need more motivation. It needs your consistency. Most people are good at starting, but they're terrible at staying consistent. And that's the real reason they stay stuck. They plan, they write goals, they get excited, and then they stop. Not because they don't want change, but because they haven't learned how to show up when it gets boring, quiet, or hard. If you're tired of starting over, if you're tired of quitting halfway, and if you know deep down you're capable of more, but something always pulls you off track, this video is for you. This isn't motivation that fades tomorrow. This is the mindset shift you've never been taught. You'll learn how to build habits that don't break, how to follow through even when your mind tells you to stop, and how to finally stay consistent no matter what's going on around you. If you skip this, nothing changes. Watch till the end and take back control of your life. Chapter 1. Start with one clear goal and protect it daily. Start with one clear goal and protect it daily. That's the foundation. That's the beginning of change. If you want to stay consistent, you have to stop trying to do too many things at once. You don't need 5 goals. You need one goal. One goal that truly matters to you, one that feels personal, one that speaks to your future, one that holds meaning in your life. And once you find that goal, your job is not just to chase it, it's to protect it every single day. Most people don't fail because they don't try. They fail because they try too many things. They divide their time, their focus, their energy, and in the end, they're left with scattered efforts and no real results. So you start with one clear goal, something you can focus on with your full mind and your full heart. This is about commitment, not confusion. When you're clear, your energy becomes strong, your actions become consistent. Now, ask yourself this. What is the one thing that would change your life if you committed to it daily? Not 10 things, just one. What's the one thing that, if you worked on it with full focus, would create real momentum? Would it be improving your health? Would it be mastering a skill? Would it be building your business? Whatever it is, identify it, write it down, get specific, because clarity removes noise, and when you're clear, you stop wasting time on things that don't matter. A person with one powerful goal is stronger than someone with a list of empty ambitions. You don't need more goals, you need more follow-through. If you wake up every day with a new goal, you'll never build consistency. But if you wake up every day and serve the same mission, you start creating strength. You start building habits that stick. You stop breaking promises to yourself. Now here's the truth most people don't want to hear. Your goal will get attacked every day. Life will test your consistency. Distractions will show up. You'll feel tired. You'll feel bored. You'll feel like skipping it. That's when protecting your goal matters most. You protect it by guarding your time. You protect it by saying no to things that don't align. You protect it by reminding yourself every day, this matters more than comfort. This matters more than distraction. This matters more than the excuse. Every morning you should wake up with one clear sentence in your mind. I know what I'm here to do. That kind of clarity builds consistency, because now you don't have to think about what you're doing. You already decided. You just follow the plan. That removes decision fatigue, it removes emotional noise, it gives you back your time and discipline. Consistency isn't built on how you feel, it's built on what you've committed to. You don't need to feel like doing something to follow through. You just need to remember why you started. You just need to keep your word to yourself. And that's where real strength begins. When you become the kind of person who follows through, even when nobody's watching, even when nobody's cheering, even when it's boring or slow. One of the best feelings in life is when you trust yourself, when you know deep down that you're not going to give up on what matters. That's where self-respect grows. That's where confidence is built. Not from winning instantly, but from showing up daily. Now, how do you protect your goal every day? You start by scheduling time for it. Don't leave it up to chance. If your goal matters, it has to be in your calendar and not just squeezed in between other people's priorities. Give it your best hours. Give it your full attention. If you want to stay consistent, you have to take your goal seriously, not like a hobby, like a mission. And you also protect it by watching your environment. Who are you around? What are you listening to? What are you letting influence your thinking? Consistency dies in toxic environments. It dies when you keep feeding your mind with distractions. So take control of what you see, what you hear, and who you spend time with. You don't need constant validation. You need focus. You protect your goal by protecting your mind. Every time you give in to distraction, every time you scroll without purpose, every time you say, "I'll do it later," you're letting go of the consistency you need to succeed. And eventually you lose momentum. And when you lose momentum, even getting started feels like a mountain. So take your goal seriously. Take it personally. Wake up every day and ask yourself, what would someone who's serious about this goal do today? And then do it, even if it's small, even if it's just one step. That's how consistency is built. One step repeated again and again. There'll be days when you won't feel like it. That's normal. You're not weak for feeling tired. You're not broken for feeling off. But that doesn't mean you stop. You can rest, but you don't quit. You can slow down, but you don't walk away. That's how people succeed. They keep showing up, even when it's hard. Even when nobody sees them. Even when progress feels slow. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. Progress over perfection. Action over anxiety. Clarity over confusion. Some days you'll move forward fast, other days you'll move forward slow, but you're still moving. You're still in the game. You're still fighting for that one clear goal. And the more you stay with it, the stronger you get. The more you follow through, the more confident you become. Because now you're not just thinking about it, you're doing it. Every time you complete a task you said you would, your mind gets stronger. Your character gets deeper. You start trusting your own effort. And that's how self-belief is built. Not by talking, but by doing. So today, you ask yourself one thing. What's the one goal that deserves your full attention? And once you have it, you protect it with everything you've got. You don't apologize for it. You don't get distracted from it. You make it a non-negotiable. You work on it daily. You build systems around it. You build structure around your life that supports it. And you stick with it long enough to see results. That's how consistency is created, not in one big moment, but in hundreds of small decisions. And all those small decisions, when done right, become your new identity. You don't rise to your dreams, you rise to your habits. So build the habit of sticking with one thing long enough to see it grow. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to your future. Consistency isn't just about effort. It's about who you are becoming through the process. Start with one clear goal. Make it your focus. Make it your discipline. Make it your identity. Then protect it. Every day. That's how change happens. That's how greatness is built. That's how your life turns around. You don't need more motivation, you need more repetition. You don't need louder goals, you need quieter excuses. Stay consistent, stay locked in, and one day what felt impossible will become your new standard. Chapter 2. Strengthen focus by saying no without overthinking it. If you want to stay consistent, you have to stop agreeing to things that pull you away from what matters. One of the biggest reasons people lose focus is because they say yes too easily. They don't pause. They don't check if it matches their goals. They don't think about what that yes will cost them. They just say yes to avoid discomfort. They say yes to avoid guilt. They say yes to avoid confrontation. And every time they do, they weaken their focus without even realizing it. Focus isn't just about what you look at. It's also about what you walk away from. It's about knowing when to say no and meaning it. It's about understanding that your time and energy are limited, and every time you give them away to the wrong thing, you're delaying what's right for you. Most people are not short on time, they are short on control. They say yes to too many things out of habit. They take on tasks that don't belong to them. They go places they don't need to be. They agree to conversations that drain them, and they end up mentally scattered, emotionally exhausted, and disconnected from their own priorities. Focus requires boundaries, and boundaries require the ability to say no without guilt, without apology, and without overthinking every word that comes out of your mouth. You don't need to be rude, you just need to be clear. You don't owe an explanation for every no. You don't have to make people comfortable by sacrificing your own clarity. Saying no isn't rejection, it's protection. You're protecting your time, your energy, your focus, and your peace of mind. You're protecting your progress. You're protecting your discipline. When you say no to things that don't align with your goal, you're saying yes to what actually matters. But that's not always easy. People will test your boundaries. They'll ask you for favors. They'll try to pull you into their urgency. And if you're not grounded in your values, you'll fold. You'll say yes because it's easier in the moment. You'll agree out of fear of disappointing someone. But here's the truth. Every yes you give to the wrong thing is a no to your own growth. You can't move forward if you're constantly pulled sideways. You can't stay consistent if your attention is scattered across things that mean nothing to your long-term goals. So the habit you need to build is the habit of pausing before you say yes. Take a second. Ask yourself, does this move me closer to my goal or further away from it? If the answer is further, say no. Say it clearly, say it calmly, and then move on. You don't need to justify every decision. You don't need to explain why you're focused on your priorities. You don't need permission to protect your time. You need the strength to stand by your choices, even if others don't understand them. Because the truth is, not everyone will understand your discipline. Not everyone will respect your focus. Some people will take it personally. Some people will criticize it. That doesn't mean you're wrong, it means you're growing. When you train yourself to say no with confidence, you gain clarity. You start noticing how much noise you used to allow into your life. You see how many hours you gave away to distractions. You realize how many conversations you engaged in just to keep people happy. And now you're done with that. Because now your time is for what counts. Now, your energy is for your real mission. Now, your decisions are grounded in what's right, not what's comfortable. Consistency depends on discipline. Discipline depends on clarity. And clarity depends on your ability to say no without feeling like you're doing something wrong. You are not wrong for protecting your future. You are not wrong for saying no to what drains you. You are not wrong for choosing focus over approval. That's not selfish. That's strength. You have to build a mindset where your goals matter more than temporary comfort, where your mission is louder than your fears, where your growth is more important than pleasing others. Because no matter how kind you are, your success will require boundaries, and those boundaries must be built by you. The real danger isn't outside distraction, it's internal hesitation. It's your habit of doubting yourself. It's your fear of disappointing others. It's your overthinking that keeps you stuck in patterns that don't serve you. If you want to stay consistent, you have to stop talking yourself out of doing what's right. You have to stop softening your decisions to make others feel okay. You have to be firm, you have to be clear, and you have to be okay with the fact that not everyone will get it. When you stop overthinking your no, you give power to your yes, because now your yes is real, it's deliberate, it's earned, and that's what makes it powerful. A person who can say no without guilt is a person who is ready for real growth. They're not just chasing dreams, they're building systems. They're not just talking about improvement, they're creating space for it. That's what separates people who grow from people who stay stuck. If you keep overcommitting, you'll stay overwhelmed. If you keep saying yes to everyone, you'll end up disconnected from yourself. If you keep trying to please the world, you'll break your own rhythm. And once you lose that rhythm, consistency becomes impossible. You'll spend your days reacting instead of creating. You'll chase urgency instead of progress. You'll feel busy without being effective. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a clear space to focus. You need time to think. You need room to move. And that comes when you stop agreeing to things that don't belong in your life anymore. Start by recognizing where your attention goes. Look at how you spend your time. Track what pulls you away. Notice the requests that come your way. Are they aligned? Are they necessary? Are they worth it? If not, remove them. You don't need to carry every invitation. You don't need to respond to every message. You don't need to say yes to every opportunity. Not every opportunity is for you. Not every connection is meant to be permanent. Not every request deserves your attention. And the faster you learn this, the faster your focus will sharpen, the faster your results will grow, the faster your mind will quiet down. Staying consistent starts with creating the space to be consistent. You can't be consistent if you're constantly pulled into things that drain you. So say no with clarity, say no with confidence, say no because your goal matters too much to keep delaying. Every time you choose your focus over your fear, you grow. Every time you choose discipline over discomfort, you get stronger. And, over time, you'll notice something. People will stop asking you for things that don't align. They'll respect your time. They'll sense your focus. They'll know you're not available for anything less than your stand. That's what happens when you stop overthinking and start protecting your energy. You don't need to feel bad about saying no. You need to feel proud that you've learned how to put yourself first. Not in a selfish way, but in a smart way. In a way that honors your time, your goals, your progress. That's how consistency becomes possible. That's how your effort becomes steady. That's how you turn intention into action. Every no you give to the wrong thing is a yes to what matters. So, start saying no. Say it with purpose, say it with strength, and say it without overthinking it. Because staying consistent is not about doing more. It's about doing what matters most, and saying no to the rest. Chapter 3. Build structure around the life you actually live. If you want to stay consistent, you have to stop building your routine around a version of life that doesn't exist. You don't live in a perfect world. You don't always have quiet mornings. You don't always wake up feeling fresh. You don't have unlimited hours or endless motivation. So stop designing your habits around unrealistic days. Stop forcing yourself into schedules that don't match your actual responsibilities. The structure you build has to match your real life, your real energy, your real family situation, your real work hours, your real strengths and weaknesses. That's the only way to make consistency stick. Most people fail to stay consistent because they try to follow someone else's routine. They read a post, they watch a video, they see someone wake up at 4 a.m., and they try to copy it without asking one important question: does this work for me? If it doesn't, it will fall apart. You won't keep doing it. And when it collapses, you won't just lose progress, you'll start blaming yourself. But the problem wasn't you, the problem was the structure. It was never made for your life. Structure is not about copying the most intense system. It's about building a routine that actually fits into your day, that actually matches your mindset, that actually honors your capacity. You don't build a high-performance life by pushing through chaos every day. You build it by removing the chaos. You organize your life so you don't have to fight your way through every hour. If your routine is too strict, it will break under pressure. If it's too loose, it won't keep you grounded. The key is balance. The key is creating structure that gives you freedom, not pressure. You should know when you work best. You should know when to slow down. You should know when you need space. This kind of awareness gives you power, because now you're not guessing, you're designing. Start by looking at your day honestly. What time do you wake up? How much time do you really have before work or school or parenting? What's pulling your attention? What blocks of time are being wasted? What moments are open but unused? You need to see the full picture, because once you understand where your time is going, you can begin to build structure that actually supports your growth. Stop telling yourself you don't have time. In most cases, it's not about time. It's about how that time is being spent. It's about where your energy goes. It's about what's being prioritized. People spend hours on things that give them nothing, and then say they're too busy to change their life. But it's not busyness that's the issue. It's lack of structure. You can't keep your mind strong if your day is chaotic. You can't stay consistent if you're always rushing or reacting. That's why structure matters. It brings stability, it brings clarity. It allows you to show up every day without burning out. You wake up knowing what to do, you move with intention, you stop wasting energy on decision-making, you free up your willpower for things that actually matter. The structure you build should remove guesswork. You should know what happens next before the day even begins. And no, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be clear. When are you going to do your important task? When are you going to rest? When are you going to plan? When are you going to focus without distractions? These things don't just happen. You have to plan them in. You have to schedule them like they matter. Build your structure based on your real energy. If you're sharp in the morning, place your most difficult task first. If you're more focused at night, give yourself permission to work in that time block. Don't force your rhythm to match someone else's. Trust your own pattern. Then build around it. Most people don't fail because they're not motivated. They fail because their day has no order. Everything's scattered. Everything's reactive. They're jumping from one thing to the next, hoping to squeeze in progress when they feel like it. That will never work long term. Consistency needs rhythm, and rhythm comes from structure. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in one day. Start simple. Choose 3 key times of the day where you anchor your most important actions. That could be 7:00 a.m., 1:00 p.m., and 8:00 p.m., or whatever matches your reality. Then protect those times. Build small, solid routines around them. Those blocks become your foundation. They're your anchor points. They keep your consistency alive, even when the rest of the day doesn't go as planned. What matters most is that your structure feels real. It should feel like a guide, not a prison. It should feel doable on a tired day. It should feel flexible when life gets messy. You don't build consistency by pushing through perfect conditions. You build it by creating systems that help you show up when things aren't ideal. You don't need to work longer, you need to work clearer. You need structure that tells your mind what to do and when to do it. So you stop hesitating, you stop forgetting, you stop falling into distractions. When your day has clear structure, everything becomes simpler. You know when to start, you know when to stop. You're not chasing motivation, you're just following the system you already built. It doesn't matter how passionate you are about your goal, if your life is messy, progress will always feel hard. So clean up your routine. Decide what time you'll work. Decide what task matters most. Decide how you'll prepare. Then remove anything that makes those things harder. Maybe that means putting your phone in another room. Maybe it means waking up 30 minutes earlier. Maybe it means canceling something that no longer serves your future. This is how serious people move. They don't wing it. They don't wait to feel inspired. They don't rely on memory. They create systems. They create order. And then they show up to that system daily, even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when nobody claps for them. That's what real consistency looks like. You can have discipline. You can have hunger. But if your day has no shape, you'll keep slipping, you'll keep forgetting, you'll keep missing your mark. So design your life like your success depends on it, because it does. No more guessing, no more hoping you'll find time. Structure your time so it can't be stolen. Guard your routines like they matter, because they do. When you structure your life to match who you are and what you truly want, everything becomes lighter, the pressure disappears, the chaos quiets down. You stop trying to be someone you're not. You stop pretending to live someone else's schedule. You start honoring your truth. That's where real growth lives. That's where real consistency is born. You don't rise to the level of motivation, you rise to the level of structure you've built. So if you want to stay consistent, don't just focus on trying harder. Focus on designing smarter. Take your real life, the one you're living now, and shape it with discipline, intention, and order. Build the kind of structure that works on your worst day. Build the kind of routine that still fits when things go wrong. Build the kind of life that helps you stay grounded when your emotions try to pull you off track. That's how you win. That's how you stay consistent. That's how you build something that lasts. Chapter 4. Set real deadlines and never move them again. If you want to stay consistent, you have to stop moving your deadlines. You have to stop making promises to yourself and then breaking them when it's inconvenient. You have to stop pushing things to next week, next month, or when things feel easier. That mindset keeps you stuck. That mindset trains you to see deadlines as suggestions. And once your brain learns that your deadlines don't mean anything, consistency disappears. Deadlines are not just dates on a calendar. They are commitments to take your life seriously. They are proof that you're not just thinking about your goals, you're acting on them. When you set a real deadline, you create urgency, you create structure, you create momentum, and more than anything, you create trust with yourself. That trust is what fuels discipline. That trust is what keeps you moving, even when it's hard. Most people break consistency because they treat their deadlines as flexible. They say, I'll do it tomorrow. I'll start next week. It's not the right time. And what happens? Weeks pass, then months, then years. The goal stays the same, but nothing ever gets done. Why? because there was no pressure, there was no urgency, there was no real finish line. If you want to stay consistent, you need pressure. Not the kind that makes you panic, the kind that makes you move, the kind that makes you stop waiting for perfect conditions, the kind that forces you to act now, not later. And deadlines do that. They give you a clear date to aim for. They remove the habit of waiting for the right time. The real deadline has one job: to get you to take action. And for that to happen, the deadline has to be real. It has to be non-negotiable. You can't keep moving it every time you feel tired or distracted or uncomfortable. If you move it once, your brain will learn it's optional. If you move it twice, your discipline starts to erode. If you keep moving it, eventually nothing you say to yourself carries any weight. This is about self-respect. It's about showing yourself that your word matters, that your schedule means something, that your goals are not just a hobby, that when you say you're going to do something by a certain day, it gets done. Even if it's not perfect, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's inconvenient. You don't need perfect work, you need completed work. You need action that moves the needle. You need momentum. Because when you get things done on time, you build power, you build trust, you build speed, and that speed helps you stay consistent. Think about how many goals you've delayed, not because they were impossible, but because you kept shifting the deadline. Think about how many promises you made to yourself and didn't follow through on. And then ask yourself, what would your life look like if you started treating your deadlines like they actually mattered? When you set a real deadline, you eliminate decision fatigue. You no longer have to wonder when to start. You don't need to debate with yourself in your mind. The deadline makes the choice for you. It forces you to manage your time. It forces you to work smarter. It forces you to remove distractions. You start prioritizing what moves you forward instead of wasting time on what's easy. That's what deadlines do. They focus your attention. They make you face your excuses. They create a line you're not allowed to cross. And that line becomes your structure. That line becomes your standard. The problem isn't setting goals. The problem is people don't treat those goals with the seriousness they deserve. They write them down, they feel good for a day, then they forget. Or worse, they keep adjusting the deadline to fit their mood. You'll never be consistent that way. Consistency is built when you show up for deadlines that are uncomfortable, when you deliver the work even if you're tired. When you stop negotiating with laziness, when you stop justifying procrastination, when you say, I said I would finish this by Friday, so I will. That kind of attitude builds power. That kind of mindset builds winners. You don't have to do everything at once. You just have to stop dragging things out forever. If something can be done this week, don't push it to next month. If something matters to you, give it a date. And once you give it a date, back it up with real actions. Break it down. Schedule your tasks. Build around the deadline. Make it realistic, but make it firm. It doesn't matter how small the task is. If it's tied to your growth, it deserves urgency. Stop giving yourself open-ended timelines. That's how dreams die. They die in the space between someday and never. And stop telling yourself you work better under pressure. What you really mean is you don't act unless you're forced to. But what if you created your own pressure? What if you set a deadline and treated it like a promise you refuse to break? What if you trained your mind to finish early, not late? That mindset will separate you from everyone else. While others are still thinking about starting, you're already done. While others are still planning, you're executing. That's what deadlines do. They speed up your growth. They move your ideas from your head to the real world. You won't always feel like following through. That's normal. But if the deadline is locked in, your feelings won't run your schedule. Your discipline will. And once you live this way for a while, it becomes your identity. You become someone who finishes, someone who delivers, someone who shows up when it counts. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for progress within a timeline. And keep doing it, over and over, week by week, month by month. You'll be amazed at how much can change in your life when you stop dragging your feet, when you stop shifting the finish line, when you stop letting time slip by without accountability. Make your word final. Make your deadline solid. Put it on your calendar. Tell someone if you need to. Build pressure around it. And most importantly, don't move it. Even if things feel off, even if you're not fully ready, use what you have. Start where you are, but meet the deadline. Not for the result, but for the character you're building. That character will carry you through every goal you chase. That character will keep you on track when life gets noisy. That character will help you stay consistent, not because you feel like it, but because you've trained yourself to act with discipline. So today, look at your current goals. Ask yourself which ones need a real deadline. Pick a date that forces you to move, not too far away, not open-ended. Set it, write it, announce it. Then act like it's the most important promise you've made, because it is. You can't build a strong life on shifting timelines. You build it on solid decisions followed by consistent action. That's the way forward. That's how consistency is earned, and that's how real transformation begins. Chapter 5. Respect your own time like it truly matters. Most people will never stay consistent because they don't take their time seriously. They treat it like it's unlimited. They give it away like it costs nothing. And then they wonder why their life doesn't change. They wonder why they feel behind. They wonder why they never finish what they start. If your time means nothing to you, you won't use it right. You'll waste hours on things that don't matter. You'll spend your energy chasing short-term comfort. You'll delay progress for temporary pleasure. And eventually, you'll run out of time, not because life was unfair, but because you didn't respect the time you had. If you want to stay consistent, you have to start respecting your time like it's the most valuable thing you own, because it is. You can't get time back. You can't borrow more. You can't store it for later. Every second is either moving you forward or holding you in place. When you understand that, you stop living on autopilot. You stop giving your time to every distraction. You stop saying yes to things that have nothing to do with your goals. You don't need more hours in the day. You need to stop handing your hours to things that don't serve your future. Time is not your problem. Discipline is. Attention is. Priorities are. Look at how you're spending your day. Every scroll, every conversation, every habit, every hour. Ask yourself, is this how someone who respects their time would live? When you respect your time, you stop wasting your mornings. You stop dragging out simple tasks. You stop delaying things just because you don't feel like doing them. You stop leaving things undone and calling it a break. Respecting your time means taking full responsibility for it. It means planning your day and sticking to it. It means being aware of how fast time moves and how easy it is to lose momentum when you don't pay attention. People will always try to pull you in different directions. They'll ask for your time. They'll want your attention. They'll invite you to things that sound fun but pull you off track. And if you don't value your time, you'll give it away easily. You'll hand it over without thinking. And you'll look up one day and realize you've been busy but not productive. You've been active but not effective. To stay consistent, you must protect your time like it's gold. That means saying no more often. That means being selective with what you do and who you do it with. That means creating a schedule that reflects what you truly want, not just what others expect. If someone else disrespects your time, it's frustrating, but when you do it to yourself, it's destructive. Start treating your time like it's limited, because it is. Start acting like every hour matters, because it does. Start living like the way you spend your time is shaping your life, because it is. You can't complain about your results if you're wasting the hours that could have built something better. Your time is your responsibility. Nobody's going to manage it for you. Nobody's going to show up and remind you to stay focused. You have to be the one who decides that your time is too valuable to waste. You have to be the one who looks at a distraction and says, "Not today." You have to be the one who wakes up and uses the first hour of the day to move forward, not just scroll through nonsense. Think about what it feels like when you waste a whole day, that regret, that heaviness, that frustration. Now think about what it feels like when you use your time right, when you get something done, when you follow through, when you finish something that matters. That feeling is not luck. That's what happens when you respect your time. If you want to build a life that means something, it starts with owning your schedule. Don't just let the day happen. Don't just react to everything. Create a plan. Stick to it. Block time for what matters. Remove things that pull you off course, and do it without apology, because your time doesn't belong to everyone. It belongs to you. People who stay consistent don't have more time than you. They just don't waste it. They don't spend hours explaining themselves. They don't scroll endlessly. They don't overthink things that don't move them forward. They don't keep toxic routines alive out of habit. They live with intention. They move with purpose. They protect their time with real discipline. And this discipline starts small. You start by honoring the next hour, then the next. You stop saying, "I'll do it later," and start saying, "I'll handle it now." You stop treating time as if it can wait. Because one wasted hour turns into a wasted day. One wasted day turns into a wasted week. And a few wasted weeks becomes a year of no progress. You don't get that time back. Once it's gone, it's gone. So you have to ask yourself, how much of your time is truly yours? How much of it is being used in a way that reflects your goals, your values, your vision? Are you letting others decide your day? Are you letting your emotions run your calendar? Are you showing up late to your own life? Respecting your time means being honest with yourself. It means acknowledging when you're drifting. It means correcting it quickly. It means holding yourself to a higher standard, even when nobody's watching. Because you know that your future is being shaped by what you do right now, not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, your time matters, not just because it's limited, but because what you do with it determines everything. Your health, your relationships, your skills, your income, your peace of mind, your purpose. It's all tied to how you spend your time. You can either waste it or use it to build something real. You can't complain about lack of progress and continue wasting the same hours every day. That's a contradiction. If you're serious about change, start with your calendar, start with your habits, start with your minutes, because when you change how you use time, you change your entire direction. This isn't about working non-stop. This is about making your hours count. Rest counts when it's done on purpose. Breaks matter when they're part of the plan. But drifting, procrastinating, and zoning out for hours, those things cost you. They cost your confidence. They cost your momentum. They cost your future. You have to live like your time is worth something, because when you start doing that, people will treat your time with more respect too. They'll stop expecting you to be available all the time. They'll stop interrupting your focus. They'll sense that you're someone who takes your goals seriously, and they'll act accordingly. Consistency starts with respect. Respect for your time, respect for your path, respect for your own future. If you don't respect your time, you'll keep falling off track. But once you begin honoring every hour, you become unstoppable. This is where discipline lives, not in big speeches, but in small decisions, not in motivational bursts, but in daily awareness. In choosing to spend your time where it counts, in deciding that your life is too valuable to waste another hour. That mindset alone can change everything. So today, move with purpose, guard your schedule, track your habits, say no to what distracts you, stay with what builds you, use your time like it matters, because when you do, your consistency will no longer be something you chase, it will become something you are. Chapter 6. Do things even when you feel zero interest. One of the greatest challenges you will ever face on the path to consistency is this: doing the work when you don't feel like it, when there's no excitement, when there's no spark, when everything feels dry, dull, and flat. That's where most people stop. That's the moment they pull back. They wait for interest to return. They wait to feel ready again. And sometimes that wait lasts days. Sometimes it lasts months. Sometimes it becomes permanent. The truth is, if you only do what you feel like doing, when you feel like doing it, you'll never reach your full potential, because your feelings are not always aligned with your future. Your emotions are temporary, but your goals require something much deeper: commitment without emotion. When people talk about consistency, they love the early phase, the first few days, the first week, the excitement of starting something new. It feels good, it feels alive, you feel unstoppable, but that excitement fades. It always does. That's normal, and that's where the real test begins. What do you do when the fire goes out? What do you do when the thing that felt inspiring now feels ordinary? What do you do when your mind says, skip today, take it easy, do it later? Most people listen to those thoughts. They treat boredom like a signal to stop. But boredom is not a reason to quit. It's a part of the process. And if you can keep going through that phase, you build something stronger than motivation. You build grit. You build mental toughness. You build a habit that can survive even on your worst days. You don't have to love every task. You don't need to feel excited about every action. You just need to do it. That's the part most people avoid. But that's the part that separates the disciplined from the distracted. When you can do the right thing with zero interest, you are in control. You're no longer a prisoner to your moods. You're driven by what you've committed to, not by how you happen to feel that day. There will be days when the work feels boring. There will be days when you'd rather avoid everything, and you'll start hearing those little voices. Take a break. One day won't matter. It's not that serious. But those are the moments you have to push, not because you want to, not because it feels good, but because you told yourself you would. That internal discipline, that follow-through in the absence of interest, that's where your strength is built. If you only move when you're motivated, your life will always be unstable, because motivation comes and goes. Some days you wake up ready to go, some days you don't. That's normal. But what's not okay is letting that lack of energy decide your behavior. You need to decide in advance, I will do what matters, no matter how I feel. I will act because I'm committed, not because I'm inspired. That decision right there can change your entire life. Don't chase feelings, chase standards. Live by rules you set for yourself. Set a time for your work, and show up at that time no matter what, whether you're excited or not, whether it feels interesting or not. That's how you build self-respect. That's how you create momentum, because you're no longer controlled by whether something feels fun. You're controlled by your vision. Some of the most successful people in the world are not the most excited. They're the most consistent. They're the ones who show up when it's raining, when it's hard, when it's quiet, when it's boring. They've trained themselves to move with or without interest, because they understand that the result is what matters, not the emotion behind the action. The truth is, most meaningful work will feel uninteresting sometimes. You'll repeat the same actions. You'll go through phases where you see no change, and your mind will tell you it's pointless. That's when people give up. That's when they walk away. But if you can push through that flat space, if you can keep showing up even when you feel absolutely nothing, you are building something unshakable. There's a quiet kind of power in doing the work no one sees. On days you don't want to do it, you might not feel proud in the moment. You might not feel strong, but over time those days add up. They build results. They build belief. They build progress that nobody can take from you. And when you do finally look back, it won't be the easy days that made you. It will be the days you showed up without any interest at all. You won't always feel like getting up early. You won't always feel like studying, practicing, building, or grinding. You won't always feel like being consistent. That's the truth. So if you're waiting for consistent feelings, you'll never have consistent actions. But if you commit to consistent actions regardless of feelings, everything changes. You start moving differently. You start thinking differently. You start living with intention, not emotion. You don't need to lie to yourself and pretend to love the process every day. But you do need to respect the process. You need to give it your time. You need to give it your presence, even when it's not exciting, even when you're not in the mood. Because your future doesn't care how you feel today. It cares about what you do today. If you want to build a real habit, this is the moment that matters, not when everything's going well, but when the fire dies down, when the work feels heavy, when your energy drops. That's the moment where your future self is watching. That's the moment that defines whether this is just a phase or whether it's who you're becoming. Most people are obsessed with staying inspired, but inspired people burn out too. The ones who stay consistent are the ones who learn to work through boredom, who train themselves to keep moving even when the reward isn't immediate, who push even when the day feels dull. That mindset builds something rare, something solid, something long-term. You're not lazy for losing interest, you're human, but you become strong when you act anyway. That's what discipline looks like. It's not loud, it's not flashy, it's not always exciting, but it's powerful. It's the quiet repetition of right action, day after day, no matter how you feel. So build the habit of showing up without needing permission from your emotions. Build the discipline of doing the work just because it needs to be done, not because you want to, but because you've decided that your goal matters more than your mood. That decision will carry you through the toughest days. It will give you something solid to stand on. And as time passes, you'll notice something. Your consistency grows stronger. Your habits become automatic. Your results start compounding. And all because you learned the simple, powerful truth. Your actions don't need your interest. They need your effort. Every day, no matter what. Chapter 7. Keep promises you make to yourself each day. One of the most powerful things you can do to stay consistent is to keep the promises you make to yourself. Not the promises you announce to others, not the ones you post about or talk about. The quiet ones, the private ones, the ones you whisper to yourself when no one else is around. Those are the ones that shape your self-image. Those are the ones that build or break your confidence, and most people break them every day without even realizing how damaging it is. You tell yourself you're going to wake up early, and then you don't. You tell yourself you're going to eat better, and then you don't. You tell yourself you're going to work on that project, start that plan, stick to that schedule, and somehow you let it slide, again and again and again, until eventually your mind stops believing you. Your confidence drops, your discipline weakens, not because you're incapable, but because you've trained yourself not to take your own words seriously. When you keep breaking promises to yourself, your identity suffers. You start seeing yourself as someone who doesn't follow through, and when that belief sinks in, it becomes harder to start, harder to trust, harder to move, because deep down you're thinking, what's the point? I won't stick to it anyway. That is the real damage, not the missed task, but the broken trust within yourself. But here's the truth. You can change that. You can rebuild that trust. And it starts with keeping one promise, just one, something small, something clear, something real. You say, I'm going to do this today, and then you do it. Not because it's exciting, not because it's fun, but because you said you would. That's where power begins. That's how self-respect is earned. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your identity gets stronger. You start to see yourself differently. You stop needing external validation because you have internal certainty. You don't need people to tell you you're doing well. You know, because you're doing what you said you would do. And that's where confidence comes from. Not from talk, not from hype, from proof. Daily proof. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. It's about becoming someone who shows up every day and honors their word. Even if it's quiet, even if it's small, even if nobody sees it, because it matters. It matters that you follow through. It matters that you keep showing up. It matters that your actions match your words. Start paying attention to what you say to yourself. When you say, I'm going to go to the gym, go. When you say, I'm going to turn off my phone and focus, do it. When you say, I'm going to finish this by the end of the day, finish it. Every time you do, you're building something solid. You're becoming someone who can be counted on, not just by others, but by yourself. And when you break a promise, don't excuse it. Don't pretend it didn't matter. Acknowledge it. Own it. Fix it. The worst thing you can do is pretend like your word doesn't matter. That mindset destroys consistency. If your word isn't strong, your actions won't be either. This is about integrity with yourself, not just when life is smooth, but when it's hard, when you're tired, when you're tempted to slip. That's when it matters most. That's when you decide who you really are. Are you someone who folds under pressure, or are you someone who stands by your word? You don't need to be loud about your goals. You need to be loyal to them. You need to keep showing up for them every single day. Not for applause, not for attention, but because you said you would. That kind of discipline builds unshakable consistency. Think of it like this. If someone kept promising you things and never followed through, would you trust them? Would you keep listening? Probably not. Now flip that question. If you keep breaking promises to yourself, how can you expect to believe in your own goals? How can you expect motivation to stay? Why would your mind support a path it doesn't believe you'll stay on? The problem is not lack of ambition, it's lack of follow-through. And the fix is simple. Do what you said you were going to do. Do it today. Do it tomorrow. Do it the next day. And keep doing it until your mind has no doubt about who you are, until it knows, if I say it, I mean it. Start small. Build it up. You don't need to make huge promises. You need to make honest ones. Promises that reflect your current capacity. Promises you can fulfill. And then you stretch them. You expand them. But only after you've built the habit of following through. Stop trying to impress others. Impress yourself. Show yourself that your word is law, that when you set a goal it gets done, that when you write it down you take it seriously. This is how you stay consistent, not by hype, but by habit, not by emotion, but by execution. You'll have days when you don't feel like doing it. Do it anyway. You'll have moments when you want to quit. Stay anyway. That discipline, repeated over time, is what creates transformation, not just in your results, but in who you are. You become proud of yourself again. You stop feeling like a fraud. You stop overthinking every step, because you've proven through action that you can rely on yourself, that you are strong, that you are focused, that you are consistent. Don't waste time chasing new strategies. Start with the basics. Did you say you'd do it? Then do it. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now. That's the edge you've been looking for. That's the foundation of every win you want. Keep your word. Keep your discipline. Keep your focus. You don't need to do everything today, but you need to do what you said you'd do today. That's what matters. That's what builds the life you want. One day at a time, one promise at a time, one decision at a time. Keep going. Keep your word, and your results will follow, always. Chapter 8. Build proof that you're not who you were. If you want to stay consistent, you have to build real proof that you're not the same person you used to be, not with words, not with hope, with action, with discipline, with decisions that reflect growth. Most people say they've changed, but they live the same way, they respond the same way, they avoid the same work, they keep the same habits. Change isn't something you talk about, it's something you prove with your behavior. If you say you're serious now, your actions should show it. If you say you're done with your old patterns, your choices should confirm that. You don't need to prove anything to others. This isn't about showing off. This is about showing yourself that you're done repeating the same cycles, that you're done making excuses, that you're done giving energy to things that used to keep you stuck. You build that proof by staying consistent when it would be easier to fall back. You build that proof by choosing discipline when comfort is calling your name. You build that proof by doing what your past self always avoided. One of the most powerful things you can do is create a life that no longer matches your old version. When someone looks at your schedule, it shouldn't look like who you used to be. When someone listens to your habits, it shouldn't sound like your past. When you look at your day, you should be able to say, "This isn't who I was. This is who I'm becoming." That's the kind of proof that keeps your momentum alive. Progress doesn't happen from hoping it will. It happens from doing something today that your old self wouldn't have done. Maybe your old self avoided responsibility, so today you handle it. Maybe your old self complained instead of creating, so today you take action. Maybe your old self gave up when things got tough, so today you finish what you started. Every time you act differently, you're collecting evidence. Evidence that says, I've changed, not in theory, in reality. You have to remember, your brain believes what you do consistently. It doesn't care what you say. It doesn't care how badly you want it. It watches your habits and uses that to form your identity. If your actions match your old story, your mind keeps you stuck there. But the moment your actions start breaking that pattern, your identity shifts. You begin to see yourself differently. You begin to act like someone new. The reason people don't stay consistent is because they don't build that identity shift. They still see themselves as the same person who quits, who waits, who avoids. So even when they start something new, they can't keep it up, not because they don't want to, but because their mind still believes they are the same. If you want real consistency, you have to prove that belief wrong. You do that by showing up again and again with new energy, with new choices, with a new mindset that says, I'm not living that story anymore. And you can't fake it. You can't just say it. You have to live it. You have to earn it. The good news is you can start small. You don't have to make a massive leap. You just have to take one step in the opposite direction of your old habits. Do that enough times and the evidence becomes impossible to ignore. Keep a record if you need to. Write it down. Every win, every follow-through, every time you finish what you said you'd do. Stack those wins. Track those steps. That becomes your proof. That becomes your reminder when doubt creeps in. Because doubt will come. Your old thoughts will return. They'll try to tell you, you always quit. You never finish. You're not capable. But now, you have something to fight back with, your own record of progress. You can't let your past keep deciding your future. And you don't fight it with emotion. You fight it with results. Your new life is built on what you repeatedly do. So show up in a way your old self never did. Wake up earlier. Focus longer. Speak differently. Plan better. Set boundaries. Take ownership. Every one of those moves sends a message to your brain. We're not going back. And understand this, it's not about being perfect. You will mess up, you will slip, you will have off days. But consistency doesn't die when you fail. It dies when you pretend the failure doesn't matter, or when you accept the failure as proof you haven't changed. That's not true. What matters is how fast you return. What matters is how quickly you recover. That speed of recovery is also proof. Proof that your new self doesn't stay down long. Proof that your new self is resilient. Change is not a feeling, it's a decision you repeat until it becomes automatic. The more proof you build, the less you'll question yourself, because now you're not relying on motivation, you're relying on history, you're relying on what you've already done. And that's powerful. You want to reach the point where someone asks, how did you stay consistent? And the answer is simple, because I stopped acting like the person I used to be. That's what it comes down to. That's what separates the ones who finish from the ones who start and stop over and over again. You have to get tired of starting over, tired of pretending you're going to change and then living the same way, tired of letting your feelings write your story, and then use that frustration to drive new behavior, use it to create new evidence. You're not stuck, you're just repeating, and you can break the cycle at any time. The question is, what kind of evidence are you creating today? When you look at your actions, do they reflect someone who's changing, someone who's serious, someone who's showing up no matter what? Or do they still mirror who you were? Be honest, not to judge yourself, but to wake yourself up. You don't get a new life by thinking differently. You get it by acting differently. That action builds belief. That belief builds momentum. And that momentum builds transformation. But it all starts with the courage to behave in a way your old self never could. You don't owe your past any loyalty. You don't have to keep living up to who you used to be. Start building proof that the old story is done. Start living like someone who's done playing small, done making excuses, done delaying growth. Start showing up like someone who's ready to earn a new identity. You are what you repeat. So repeat discipline, repeat effort, repeat follow-through, repeat the hard choices. And over time you'll look around and realize the truth. You're not who you were anymore. And you don't need to say it, because everything about how you live will prove it. Chapter 9. Reset quickly when you mess up your plan. Every plan you make will eventually get tested. No matter how focused you are, no matter how carefully you schedule your time, no matter how strong your start was, life will find a way to disrupt it. You'll get distracted. You'll make mistakes. Something unexpected will show up. You'll fall behind. And when that happens, what matters most is not what went wrong, it's how fast you recover. The people who stay consistent are not the ones who never mess up. They're the ones who don't stay stuck when they do. They don't drag their mistakes into the next day. They don't waste time overthinking it. They don't beat themselves up for falling short. They reset quickly and move forward. You will break your own routine. You will miss a task. You will have a day when you don't do what you planned. That's not the issue. The real damage happens when you let that one day turn into 3 days, or a week, or a full collapse of your progress. What you need is the mental discipline to catch yourself fast, fix it fast, and get back on track without losing momentum. Most people mess up once and let it destroy everything they've built. They make one mistake and act like they've failed completely, so they stop trying. They say, "I'll start again next week," but next week becomes next month. And soon, they've abandoned the thing they said was important to them, not because they weren't capable, but because they didn't know how to reset fast. You have to understand something. Setbacks are part of progress. They are not signs to quit. They are not proof that you're failing. They are part of the process. And the faster you accept that, the easier it becomes to bounce back. One missed day is not the problem. Your reaction to that missed day is. If you let guilt take over, if you fall into all or nothing thinking, if you tell yourself you've ruined everything, you will slow yourself down far more than the mistake ever could. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be resilient. You need to build the skill of recovery. You need to practice getting back up quickly, because the faster you return to the plan, the less damage is done. It doesn't even matter how far you slipped. What matters is whether you paused or completely stopped. A pause is temporary. A stop becomes a new habit. Most people try to get back on track by overcompensating. They miss one workout and try to do double the next day. They break their diet and try to starve the next day. They don't study for a day and try to cram 6 hours the day after. That kind of thinking doesn't help. It creates pressure, it creates stress, and eventually it makes you quit again. Don't punish yourself. Just return to the schedule. Go back to your baseline. Don't add extra weight. Just keep going. Consistency doesn't mean never falling off. It means not staying off. It means being the kind of person who adjusts quickly, who doesn't turn a small mistake into a big story, who doesn't turn a skipped action into a new lifestyle. You don't need to rebuild everything. You just need to pick up where you left off. That requires emotional control, because your mind will panic. Your ego will say you blew it. It'll tell you to wait until next week. It'll say you failed again. Why bother? That voice is not your truth. That voice is fear. It's weakness. It's your old self trying to pull you back. You have to shut it down fast. The longer you let that voice speak, the harder it becomes to reset. You need to respond with a new voice that says, "One mistake doesn't erase my progress. I can get back on track right now." Make the recovery process automatic. Build a rule that says, if I miss one day, I return the next. Not maybe, not if I feel good. It's a rule. It's what you do now. That kind of rule protects you from drifting too far. It keeps the damage small, and over time it becomes part of your identity. You're not weak for slipping. You're human. But strength comes from how quickly you act when the slip happens. Don't wait for the perfect mood. Don't wait to feel motivated. Don't wait for everything to line up again. Take the next action, even if it's small, even if it's uncomfortable. Even if it's messy. Action restores belief, and belief is what keeps you consistent. People who stay consistent don't have perfect weeks. They just recover faster than others. They don't waste time feeling sorry for themselves. They don't sit in self-pity. They don't wait to be rescued. They recognize the moment they've fallen off, and they make one strong decision to get back up right now. That decision keeps them in motion. That motion keeps the habit alive. It's okay to mess up. It's not okay to make it your new normal. It's okay to feel tired. It's not okay to let that turn into laziness. It's okay to slip. It's not okay to stop. Reset fast. Recenter. Refocus. That's the skill that holds everything together. The truth is, you will mess up again. You will miss more days. You will get off track at some point. But the goal is not to avoid every mistake. The goal is to shorten the gap between the mistake and your next action. At first it might take you a few days to reset, but with practice it'll take one, then it'll take an hour, then a few minutes, and eventually it'll take nothing. You'll slip and get right back up like it never happened. You want to build that kind of bounce-back ability, that kind of mental strength, so that even when life throws something unexpected your way, it doesn't derail you for long. You don't need perfect streaks. You need fast resets. That's what keeps the engine running. That's what builds consistency that lasts. So from this point on, if you mess up your plan, you don't overthink, you don't delay, you don't start over next week, you don't wait for a sign, you return immediately, you take the next step, you pick up where you dropped off, you treat one bad day as just that one day, not the end, not the excuse, not the story. This is how strong people move. They don't let one slip turn into self-destruction. They don't let one off day become an identity. They reset quickly, they move forward, they keep their rhythm alive. That's what you do now, that's who you are now, and when that becomes your standard, consistency becomes automatic. You're no longer starting over, you're simply continuing, no matter what. Chapter 10. Stick to the plan when your mind fights back. There will come a point where your biggest obstacle is not time, not resources, not even your surroundings. It will be your own mind. The same mind that built the plan will try to resist it. The same mind that was once excited will now try to escape the process. It will question the point of continuing. It will offer distractions. It will argue with your discipline. That's when the real test begins. Not when you start the plan, but when your mind starts fighting against it. And in those moments, the one thing that will keep you on track is the choice to stick to the plan anyway. You have to understand that your brain is not always on your side when it comes to consistency. It wants comfort. It wants the path of least resistance. It wants the reward without the effort. So the moment your plan requires discipline, your mind will push back. It will try to convince you to wait, to rest, to quit. It will say you've done enough. It will say you can do it later. And if you listen, that becomes your pattern. But you're not here to serve comfort. You're here to build consistency, and consistency means learning to move forward even when your own mind is creating resistance. You don't argue with your thoughts. You don't try to feel perfect before acting. You act while those thoughts are loud. You show up even when your inner dialogue is working against you. That's real strength. There will be days when everything in you wants to break the routine. You'll wake up tired. You'll feel distracted. You'll have no interest in the task ahead. Your mind will start searching for a way out, and in that moment, the most important thing you can do is follow through on the plan you already made, not because it feels good, not because it's exciting, but because your future depends on it. Your plan exists for a reason. It was built when you were clear. It was designed when you were thinking straight. It was created to get you somewhere better. So when your mind tries to change it in the middle of the process, that's not clarity talking. That's resistance. That's the voice of habit, trying to keep you where you've always been. Your job is to ignore that voice and follow the schedule anyway. If you plan to train today, train. If you plan to write, write. If you plan to learn, then sit down and do it. Don't wait until it feels better. Don't negotiate with hesitation. Your consistency is built in the exact moment you choose the plan over the excuse. You won't feel strong every day. You won't feel clear every day. But that's not the point. Discipline means doing the work even when you don't feel like the person who would. That's how identity shifts. You become consistent by choosing action in the face of internal resistance. You don't need silence in your mind. You need commitment in your actions. Some days, your thoughts will be loud, full of doubt, full of distraction, full of reasons to take a break. Let them talk. You don't need to believe every thought you have. You just need to keep moving. You're not responsible for every thought that shows up, but you are responsible for what you do with them. You can let them pass and stick to your work. You can sit with discomfort and still act with discipline. When your mind pushes back, remind yourself that this is part of the process. It's not a problem, it's a signal. It means you're doing something uncomfortable, and that's exactly what creates growth. If the plan was easy to follow, you wouldn't be building anything new. The discomfort means you're stepping out of what's familiar, and that's good. That's necessary. This is how you break old patterns, not by waiting for them to leave, but by acting in spite of them. Every time you follow the plan when it's difficult, you weaken the power those thoughts have over you. Every time you do what you said you would, even when you feel unmotivated, you build a new layer of strength. That strength becomes your new standard. It's easy to stick to the plan when your mind is quiet, when you're focused, when you're inspired, but that's not when consistency is built. It's built when your mind is loud, when your thoughts are heavy, When every part of you wants to avoid the task, and you do it anyway, that's when something changes inside of you. You need to expect the resistance. Stop being surprised when your thoughts try to distract you. Stop acting like something's wrong because you feel unmotivated. That's not weakness, it's part of the work. Your ability to stay consistent depends on how you respond to those moments. So decide right now, when my mind fights back, I follow through anyway. When doubt shows up, I don't run. When boredom hits, I stay the course. When excuses appear, I don't give them control. I trust the plan more than I trust the mood. I trust the process more than I trust the discomfort, because that plan was made with vision, and my job now is to respect that vision with action. The longer you live this way, the easier it becomes, not because the resistance disappears, but because you stop obeying it. You stop treating it like a reason to stop. It becomes background noise, and in that space, you take control. You become the kind of person who does what's right, even when your own thoughts are working against you. That's real freedom. When your mind says quit, and your actions say no, when your emotions say delay, and your steps say now, that's how consistent people think. That's how consistent people move. They don't let their thoughts decide their habits. They let their goals decide their behavior. And they keep showing up, because they understand one thing clearly. If you follow every thought, you follow nothing. If you follow the plan, you follow growth. So make the plan, and then follow it when it's easy. Follow it when it's boring. Follow it when your mind is fighting back. Follow it when every thought says take a break. Follow it anyway, because that's how the old you loses. That's how the new you wins. One quiet act of discipline at a time, every single day, no matter what.